Hey guys, today I'm back to talk about some books, some TV shows and some movies, one movie that I've seen or read in the month of July. July was quite a crazy month for me, so let's start off with the books. The first series I wanted to talk about is Renee Talia's The Wrath and the Dawn and The Rose and the Dagger. I'm going to speak about these as like one because it's a duology. This is about Sherazad or Shazi. She is a woman in kind of like a fantasy-ish world, but it's inspired by Arab culture, by 1001 Nights, whatever. And she lives in this world where there is an evil king kind of who marries a girl every day and then kills her in the dawn. So she decides to volunteer to marry him because her best friend was actually killed by him and she wants to seek revenge. But then this series is about so much more. That's just like the main starting point, kind of. So obviously this is a YA series, so it has some romance. I feel like there is no YA series without romance, because somehow that's all teens can think about. I don't know. So I'm not really big on the romance sector. I just don't like books about romance too much. But I have to say that this was actually quite good. I did like the romance in these books, even though you have kind of a triangle situation, but not really. But then you have, I don't know. I just hate these kind of things. But with this one, I think it didn't bother me too much because there was obviously a relationship going on, but then she decided to marry this king, the caliph, and that kind of destroyed her former relationship without the boy being, okay with that. So I feel like this is kind of like a good kind of triangle, I don't know. Apart from that, I did enjoy this book quite a lot. I love the desert as a setting. I love Arab culture. So this was just right up my alley. I love the covers of these. I think they're super, super gorgeous books. I don't like the blue though, but I like this kind of, like the, I don't know, the pattern, I guess. So I did give this like 4-star rating overall. I think I rated the first one maybe a little bit better, but then I also like the second book. I heard many people say that the second book is a little bit slow in the beginning, but I didn't have that problem. Like, I felt it had a good flow. Obviously the themes change, because in the first book it's all kind of in the palace, and it's all about Shazi and the caliph. And in the second book that changes and you get a lot more of the world. You're getting out of that palace, but the caliph and Shazi are not together all the time, so you have more focus on side characters and stuff like that. But I thought that was good because I felt like it gave the story so much more and I enjoyed it. And yeah, so I overall enjoyed these, and I think a duology is just, just really good thing because you don't have a middle book, because I hate middle books. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. The next thing I wanted to talk about is another duology, but I listened to it on audiobook. So I did not finish all of this in July, but I finished the last bit of it in July. And that is Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. Now, I have read the first Grisha trilogy, but I wasn't a huge fan. I liked the Darkling and I liked Nikolai, but I hated the plot and I really didn't care about the main character, Alina. I hated Mel, so yeah, that was kind of a struggle. But I decided to pick up Six of Crows as an audiobook because I've heard that even people that didn't enjoy the first trilogy would enjoy this duology, and I have to say it's true. I very much enjoyed these books, especially as the audiobooks, because you get a full cast that has good and bad sides to it, because while I liked being able to, you know, get into the story quite quickly, because, you know, when you turn off the audiobook and maybe you don't listen for a couple of days and then you turn it back on, just from the voice, you immediately know where you are, who's talking to you. But then on the other hand, there were issues with the kind of names that certain people pronounced the names differently and stuff like that. And that bothered me. Also, there were certain characters that had a very strong accent with some of the narrators, and then they didn't have any accent with other narrators. So I felt like they could have, you know, just briefed the narrators a little bit better so there wouldn't be so many differences. But apart from that, I very much enjoyed it. I think Jasper was my favorite voice. He has such a brilliant voice. I loved listening to him. I liked the kind of romance bits and bobs that we got in there, but I still have like my favorites, and then that changes a little bit. So for me, Cass and Inej are just quite boring, to be honest. I mean, I like the kind of thing with the no touching and stuff, but yeah, I just always felt like they're not really moving forward in that sense. I really liked Nina and Matthias at the beginning, and in the first book I just really liked their hate to love kind of thing that they had, and they wanted to hate each other but they just couldn't. And then obviously in the second book, like Jasper and Wylan, they're just so cute, so cute. I just love it so much. So yeah, there was a lot going on in this series. I really liked the plot points, even though I felt like the beginning of Crooked Kingdom dragged quite a lot, so I preferred Six of Crows. But then the end also was kind of unexpected, and I always waited for that moment when someone would be like, yeah, but you know, we can change that. There's always a way to change it. And like, Cass can change anything, but he couldn't change the end, like really. That kind of bothered me. Like, I felt like the end was kind of necessary, but then also really sad for me. I like that we got some cameo appearances of some characters we've seen before from the first trilogy, and those were characters that I really cared about. So I actually sat in the train listening to this audiobook crying because I was so happy to see these characters again. And I guess I didn't even know I cared about them so much until they reappeared in this audiobook. And I must say, honestly, I am excited to see more. And if there will really be books about Nikolai, I will definitely read those. Like, he's probably my favorite character from this whole world. I love him so much. So I think I gave this duology like 4.5-ish stars altogether. As I said, I preferred the first book a little bit. The second book dragged a little bit in the beginning because it was quite obvious what would happen, but then, you know, things always turn out differently again, and, you know, but yeah, I just feel like the first one was a little bit stronger, and the end just, I don't know how I feel about the end. The last book I wanted to mention is called A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I don't have it here right now because I got it from the library and I already have returned it. But this is a book that I really want to talk about because this is hands down the best book I have read so far this year. This book is a little bit older. It's from the 2000-something years, but I hadn't read it yet. This is the same author who did the Kite Runner, and I know that this book is kind of popular. Like, I've heard people mention that they want to read it because they've heard about it. And I have read the Kite Runner a couple of years back. It was a book that my mom got me and she was like, you're gonna like that. And as a teen, I was like, no. So it was on my shelf for a long time. But then one day I decided to read it and I was absolutely blown away. And I have to say that A Thousand Splendid Suns, I can say that, it's even better. This is a book about two women in Afghanistan, and they have very different lives. They are quite a few years apart, so one's older than the other one. And they live through a very rough time in Afghanistan, which basically starts kind of with the Russian invasion, and then there's all this war, all the battles, and yeah, and then there's the Taliban and stuff like that, and they live through all of that, and we get all of that in this story. And it's basically about these two different women. We get the first third from the one woman, and the second third from the other one, and then the last third is kind of a combined version where we switch chapter-wise. And that kind of makes sense. I felt like the fate of the first woman, I forgot the names, I'm so sorry. I think the second one was called Lila. I've read this a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, the fate of the first woman was so much worse, but then also what happened to the second one is just so crazy, so mad, and I don't know, this book really was so tough to get through, because when you just recall that these are things that might have actually happened, you know, some things are so kind of, it's just very probable that they have happened like that. It's just so heartbreaking, and to imagine that this is the world we're living in right now and these things are happening, that's just so heartbreaking. And I had to think a lot about Syria, because, you know, we have this huge war there right now, and it just breaks your heart to think about these things. And I don't want to say what it is. There isn't really a lot of triggering things, I would say. There is maybe a little bit of triggers for rape, but it's just all about a culture that, you know, that doesn't care about women, where women are just not important people. And that is so hard to read. It's so hard to read. And in this kind of war where there is really no one to take care of certain things, I don't know, it's crazy, and I think you should read it. If you think you can bear it, you should read it. And I know there is another book from this author, I don't know the English title, something with dream, I don't know. I will definitely read that, but I will need a little bit of time to, you know, get over it and read another one. But yeah, they're too good, and I think it's so important to read these books to really get an impression of what's going on in this world. And even though this book was written by a man, I still feel like it's quite a good representation, because he worked in Afghanistan after those events. And I think he met a lot of people that have suffered a lot in this time. And I think he has quite a good impression of what it was like. So yeah, that's just a recommendation here. And that was so random and so long. I'm so sorry. So for the movie we've watched in July, we only watched Wonder Woman as a new movie. And I really liked Wonder Woman, I have to say. The one thing that I didn't like is that it was a superhero movie. I kind of liked the beginning with the kind of fantasy feeling and stuff like that. I liked the middle part where it gets more like a war movie, but then the end was like clearly a superhero movie, and that part I wanted to just erase. I felt like the last few minutes of this movie were so bad. I just really didn't like them. I think the effects were terrible in the end, and the main villain, which I don't want to spoil who it is, he's just not made for a part like that. I don't know. Like, I love the actor, but he just doesn't fit this super villain who is a war god or whatever. No, that just didn't work in my head. Yeah, but apart from that, I liked the romance. I felt like the main characters had a lot of chemistry, and it was overall just enjoyable, apart from the end. So yeah, if you've seen Wonder Woman, let me know what you thought, but these are just my thoughts. TV show wise, we're still catching up on Sherlock. We decided to rewatch the series before watching the new episodes, just because I didn't remember anything, and we're rewatching these episodes now, and I still don't remember anything. It's so crazy. It's like I've never seen them before. Like I remember like certain shots and stuff like that, and maybe like huge plot points. But then there's so much that I've forgotten. I don't know. It's just really weird. So right now we finished season 2. So we only have season 3 to rewatch. And then we can go on to the new episodes. And I'm quite excited about that. I don't really remember what we watched before that. But I'm also still watching Shadowhunters, the 2nd season. And I must say, I really like how they just got away a little bit from the books and they're kind of doing their own thing now, and I like that because I had issues with the books. It's kind of sad that we still haven't seen Idris, but yeah, I do like it. And they've introduced Sebastian now, which is interesting because he's not like you would have imagined him, and I'm interested to see how that goes. But I've also heard rumors that maybe they will finish this series soon, so I don't know. But yeah, that's what I'm currently watching. If you have any recommendations, leave them down below. But yeah. As always, these videos are super long and super rambly, and I'm sorry, but all the books I've mentioned today are definitely something you should consider because I enjoyed all of them, which is great and doesn't happen too often. Also, I wanted to mention that I participated in Booktubeathon and I did a whole wrap-up about that, so I didn't mention any of the books here, but you can go and watch that. I'm sorry that there have been so many book-related videos on here right now, but that was just a phase, and I hope I can go back to beauty stuff now. Have a great day. Leave me a like if you liked it. Leave a comment if you want. You can subscribe because I'm happy if you do that, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!